Sup everybody, Super King Adora here with a new video to coincide with the JWE story that I'm working on. Inspired by Deck Tunics Inc., we got Campaign Park Showcases. As obviously by the title, this was from Matanceros, and where I show you what I built in my first playthrough, show you what I did with my second playthrough. You tell me which is better. Obviously, I'm hoping for second playthrough, because first playthrough I wasn't really going for anything. I think my first playthrough only Takanyo and Sorna had a somewhat of a thing. The rest of these got something. On the second playthrough, the rest of them got something going on towards it. But I'll let you decide as we're about to delve right into it. Alright.
Say to me what you want from me. Just say to me what you want from me.
Okay, so what I'm finna do is, when I load in these maps, they're going to be kind of side by side, because I want you all to get a gist of what my first playthrough was like versus my second playthrough, so y'all can kind of see what I was trying to aim for and whatnot. But yeah, let's take a quick look. Okay, coming in, you can already see like the little key differences. Like there's some things that are the same, like the little staff area, but you can see the little differences and whatnot. And what I'm about to show you one of the like more notable key differences, which is the starting area with the hatchery, where they start you off at. And that big key difference is right there is just the main design of it, with the rocks and the tools and, you know, the terrain tools or whatnot, and how they both are generally the same but stand out and look different. How one looks better because it looks more different, more realistic, so to speak. Okay, so moving on, we're finna look into this pen right here. There you can see Pentaceratops, and it shares the pen with Gigantospinosaurus. Now, kind of like my second playthrough, I knew what species I wanted to put on each island, but there really wasn't a theme, so to speak. Like these two are here just because they look nice. There wasn't really no purpose behind it. As it being my first playthrough, I was just placing things, and this was just one of them. Okay, so here we have Ceratosaurus. Actually always a main staple for this island for me. I did it on both this playthrough and the other playthrough, basically for the same reason. It's the first to second dinosaur you unlock, depending on, even third, depending on which division you go with. And I went with Ceratosaurus. Now, it's in this big exhibit pretty much by itself. That's why it's 3 of them. And compared to this exhibit, once again, the Ceratosaur exhibit lacks use of negative space, so to speak. The Ceratosaur exhibit has wide open range. There's no, without the update, there's no rocks or nothing like that. And here we just got a whole abundance of trees and overgrown grass. You probably can tell, at least with here, I was trying to make it look like something that was a big stretch without the update that we eventually got, but it's something. I mean, it's kind of forested, and it blocks the view of the viewing gallery over there with the trees right there. Don't know why I did that, so that's why I not subconsciously, but added that viewing tower. Like, okay, well, if they can't see there, they can come over here and see here, instead of me just saying, oh, why don't I move the trees? But I think the trees are there to satisfy one of their forest needs. One of their forest needs required a little bit more tree coverage than normal, I think. I didn't check the stats while I was recording this, but there. So why don't we just move on to one of my other exhibits, one that I kind of like a little bit more. Actually, I forgot to explain this little staff hub area. While making this, I actually had an idea of the staff need like amenities too. That's why I put the clothes shop right there, and you sell the fast food right there. Just basically say that even though they're staff and they're working on research and whatnot, they still got amenities that they want to use. But I for a staff area and on Matanceros, which is kind of compact, kind of isn't, depends on how you use the space. I can't say I use the staff area too well, because as you can see, going all the way down there, the staff area stretches a little bit too far, and it kind of blends in. It's like, okay, it's hard to see where the staff area ends and like the guest hub area starts, especially when I got that power station sitting right there, just out of place. It feels out of place, and I feel like I could have handled all that better, especially since I got a freaking weather station thing there, and there's no bad storms on Matanceros unless you're playing challenge mode. But yeah, I digress. Moving on. Okay, now, while in the first playthrough Matanceros doesn't have much of a theme to little at all, this enclosure did. When I first unlocked Dracorex, my idea was to actually include it with the the other members of a species, which include Pachycephalosaurus, Stygimoloch, and of course once again Dracorex. And after after going through the game, I eventually ended up doing that. I mean, it's not much to show, as once again, it's just an enclosure with trees and water, but it is one of my favorites. It's my third favorite little enclosure, just because of the Pachycephalosaurs and the fact that they look nice on Matanceros. But compared to my second playthrough, where I got the terrain tools and added scenery objects, it's gonna look like every other enclosure you're gonna see here. I made the best I could out of the hilly terrain, as you can see. I modified it a bit, which compared to the second one doesn't look as good. I should have left the slope alone, but I was working with the best I could with what I had. Okay, next up is my second favorite enclosure, and if you remember, because I live streamed my first playthrough, this exhibit actually stayed empty for like a long time until I was actually able to put Suchomimus on it, because when you first started out with it, this whole area was just a big pond, small lake, whatever you want to call it, and I immediately hit me, Suchomimus will look great here. And when I eventually did put Suchomimus in here, I paired it with Dilophosaurus, but I think Dilophosaurus already was in this exhibit before Suchomimus, can't really remember. But I got a gyrosphere tool going along with it as well, and like I said, another reason why this is my second favorite enclosure is for the sole reason that, once again, Suchomimus I have a little history with. I've mentioned it several times. I won't keep mentioning it here because that's like going on and on like a broken record. But this skin right here, Suchomimus, actually is one of my favorites. I think it's the step skin, and I just like the way it looks. It pales in comparison to the awesomeness of that woodland skin. But yeah, so basically like the gyrospheres, they go around the outer rim of the enclosure. giving you a good look at the dinosaurs as they interact with the pond lake. I don't know, what would you call it? It was I called it enclosure Suchomimus swamp, but what is it really? Like, what would you all call this? Marsh, maybe? Marsh? Mini swamp? I don't know. But yeah, okay, so let's get these other enclosures out the way so we can actually get to my favorite one. Okay, first I just want to show you all this quick mess that I made. As you see, power station over there, I was struggling with power. The hub areas are sparse and sprinkled all around. Like, I've just placed things. I wasn't trying to make the park look good, even though, okay, I was and wasn't trying to make the park look good. And as you can see, it's like, I don't like it when I look at it. It just, oh my god, that just looks so wrong. You could tell though, I was just trying to plow through the game and keep unlocking stuff. I was more excited than anything, honestly. This is where you could tell I was running out of ideas, as I didn't know what to do with the rest of the space of Matanceros. South of this enclosure, another one I'm about to show, I knew what I want to place, but I thought it'd be a good idea to place Carnotaurus and the Indominus. For lack of anything better, I put those two here on the island. Like, I can't even tell you what was going through my head other than, ooh, I unlocked Indominus. And let's put it somewhere. I didn't want to put it on Muerta because it didn't look good on Muerta, since Muerta was nothing but the dust setter. I think I had Tacaño unlocked at the time, and Tacaño was too small, so I was like, you know what, I got space on Matanceros, let's do this. And oh my god, it looks horrible. It looks horrible. When I eventually showcase the Indominus in my second playthrough, this paddock is gonna look wonderful. It's gonna look vastly better than this. I'm pretty sure anything I'll make will look vastly better than this. Okay, moving on to the last two final enclosures. We got one with Polacanthus and Nodosaurus. As aesthetically, I thought they looked good on Matanceros with the backdrop of the mountains, and you know, Nodosaurus being kind of rocky themselves. Yes, that was my attempt at a horrible pun. Moving over, we have Matanceros, who once again, like Nodosaurus and them, I thought would look good on the island because Matanceros is a really colorful dinosaur. Matanceros was really colorful, so I thought the two species, well, the three species would mix really well. And for the most part, that is true, but the execution of the exhibits and whatnot, the design, the layout, nothing too special. Nothing too special. It's nothing to write home about. But if there is one enclosure I know I really did good with, and I am proud of, is this one right here. Yeah, I called it Sauropod Creek, and when we get to Tacaño, you'll see that this is just a smaller version of what I call Sauropod Valley, which I tried to make in my J-Park series before Evolution even released. But what we got here is, I think either those are Galleys or Struthies. Those are probably Struthies. And we got Diplodocuses and Brachiosaurus, accompanied with, once again, a gyrosphere tour as you get to move amongst the majesticness of these beasts. Now, out of all these exhibits, this is the one I really do love, because the way the terrain slopes down to make, like, it's going into a ravine type aspect with the trees lining like the size of the river and whatnot. Even without the terrain tools that we eventually get, this looks okay. This looks great. I don't know what it is about sauropods in this game, but sauropods and rivers basically, but they mesh really well together. They go really well, as you will see when we get to Isla Tacaño. Don't know when that be, but you'll see. Now, all in all, did I do good with this park? Yes and no. Maybe there was there was a direction I was heading with this, but it got lost along the way after I'd made Sauropod Creek. There's not even an innovation center here. which you unlock on this island, I believe. So yeah, this is going to be up to you all to decide. Is this park, how is this park held up to the next one you're about to see, which we all can agree that one's going to be vastly better. Okay, once again, starting out, I just want to say that the reason that when you come to Matanceros that I really like is that when they give you the starting pin, it's automatically 2 pins in one. You automatically get to make 2 enclosures out of this. And you get this big old lake with, you know, the dividing pin in the middle. That aspect of that I just love outright. But with that said and done, let's get into what the theme is for my second playthrough that you will be seeing here on out. Okay, starting with the staff area real fast. As you can see, no weather station, but once again, we got the little staff area that's accented with all the things that the staff would need, with a little bit of amenities for them to enjoy because they work hard. Oh, there's a weather station, my bad. What could be clearly seen this time is that the staff area ends right there at the ACU center, and it doesn't extend past that. There is a clear separation between them and where the guest hub area and everything starts. I even marked the paths as with the fancy paths is where the guest is supposed to be, and I put the extra power station out the way so it can't be seen. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be visible to the guests because the guests don't come here to see that. So what do you see when you come here to the revised Matanceros? You come to see the dinosaurs, of course. And on Matanceros, we got to start off with Stratosaurus and Dilophosaurus. And with the new terrain tools and a little scenery items, this exhibit, it just comes together with the little rolling hills and whatnot to make it more authentic, if for lack of better terms. Now, before we really get into this, I just want to quickly say that the theme of the second playthrough here is that all the islands will have what is called main species and layover species. Each buildable place will have 9 main species that you won't find anywhere else, and then they will have a little mix and sprinkle of abundance of other creatures called layover species where you will find on other islands. But moving on as into the exhibit, as you can see how once again I accented my waters. You know, I got a little problem with putting the rock terrain tool around my water, but it helps. You see how it brings it out. It makes the terrain pop. And as we go over here, it's kind of like a little Hell Creek exhibit, right? Set up with redwood trees where you could view our Matanceros, which is our layover species, alongside our 2 main species, which is Struthiomimus and Triceratops. You won't find these 2 species anywhere else but here on Matanceros. Lots of care and planning actually went into this exhibit and this park this time around, as like I said, there's a theme to behold around each species, I want to say. And arguably this might be the best enclosure. Okay, moving on, we got our next exhibit. And here there's just 3 little separate species. The mainstays are Ankylosaurus, the other would be Crichtonsaurus, and then we have Dracorex, which is our layover species, our second layover species thus far from Matanceros. This one is a little bit more, I don't want to use the term arid, but it's not as heavily forested as the other exhibit is that was just showcased. But it is tailored more to suit the the armored styles of our dinosaurs. That being said, that Ankylosaurus and Pachycephalosaurus have a sort of rocky, exterior. I tried to match that with their terrain. As you can see little big rocks poking up here and there. The terrain itself is arguably more rocky than it is grassland. I don't know, I always felt that they would feel more at home in a terrain like this. And that for Ankylosaurus and Crichtonsaurus, they can kind of sort of blend into their surroundings a little bit. They can look like the rocks if they needed to avoid more dangerous animals. Next, we have our Hoyangosaurus. And this little environment we call here is the Hoyangosaurus Cove. The Hoyangosaurus are a main species for Matanceros and can only be found here on Matanceros. You won't find Hoyangosaurus anywhere else on the Five Deaths. Their enclosure is specifically designed so you can only see them from our viewing tower. As if you walk around the sides of this enclosure, you really won't see anything. So it gives our guests the incentive to actually come and marvel at this wondrous species of stegosaur. Living next door to our Hoyangosaurus is the tiny terror Proceratosaurus. Now, these little bite-sized carnivores are mainstays on Matanceros as well, being such as you won't encounter them anywhere else on the Five Deaths. They come in a bright assortment of colors. The blue ones are the females, and the yellow and the red ones are our males. Our last and final enclosure incorporates the use of the Titanic Camarasaurus with the smaller herbivores Corythosaurus and Gallimimus. Gallimimus being of which is our third layover species. As with all of our layover species, the Gallimimus' purpose is to enhance the exhibit, as it being the fleet-footed smaller dinosaur, moving nimbly amongst the legs of the towering but much more slower Camarasaurus. As for, I want to say, a more stunning and beautiful variety. And as with all of our dinosaurs, you can see there are male and female variants. The dimorphism is easier to see in some than others. That being said, this isn't all that we have to showcase on Matanceros, as there is a little bit of stuff for our guests to enjoy other than the dinosaurs, if they want to just take in the breathtaking beauty and wonder of Matanceros as well. Our guest area features an abundance of assortments and amenities that our guests can enjoy, so they don't have to stray too far. But if they are looking for an enjoyable walk, so to say, there's a little path constructed, so what we call the Redwood Trails, where our guests can go in and walk amongst our towering redwood trees to appreciate the nature aspect of the park, I'm guessing, for lack of a better term. Adding areas such as this for our guests to walk through makes good use of the negative space that was left on Matanceros once the main species and layover species of dinosaurs were incorporated into their paddocks. There's even another redwood trail a little bit north of here that features a viewing tower, giving you another look of the animals, looking over the Ceratosaurus and extending to the our little Hell Creek enclosure environment. And that has been our tour of Matanceros, revised or revisited. You decide on what I should call it. I guess it can be agreed hands down, this is way better than what I did the first time around. So I would appreciate if you could like, comment, and subscribe for more. That way I know to try to pump out the next video for this as soon as possible, which will be Isla Muerta. And yeah, I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. So long.